Okay, so I would want to say this. I think I speak with the sense of confidence on the topic because I was in there. I was in there, and I was in there at a very position as a Minister of Finance. And I had a very good relationship with the Prime Minister. One, because I guess my position being new, and he previously had about 4 ministers in the Ministry of Finance, and you just had myself and Mariano. And I think he believed that I did support his vision, strategic vision for Trinidad and Tobago. There's no question in my mind, and I probably, is not what the gentleman just said is about right. That thing about the red tape, I didn't put that up, When I looked at the corruption perception index for the public sector, they gave these 6 factors that drive corruption in the corruption perception, and one of them was red tape. And that just clicked with me. And yes, you're right, because where are all these unlicensed guns coming from? Why is there such a heavy crime? Let us not pretend that we don't understand. Yes, there's some domestic crime, but even among the domestic crime, many people are on drugs. You have to understand that a lot of the laws, and maybe I have this understanding because some of them were around when I was a minister, the Revenue Authority, they have diluted it completely. And we don't have time to go into it. The gambling legislation, we should not have gambling in this country. We have too much money laundering. EU has blacklisted us. You saw they had a meeting in Barbados with Mia and the Prime Minister about de-risking and the bank, the correspondent bank. De-risking meaning taking you off completely. You see the Prime Minister has run off to Washington for 4 days to discuss that topic. This country is a corrupt country. And if people want to pretend that they do not understand that at the root of this corruption in this country is the transshipment of cocaine that is able to give people power to open up businesses, for the businesses to fail, for the businesses to reopen, to have the politicians jump in at their call. The Procurement Act is a perfect example of the level of corruption in this country. And yes, it's deliberate. All the reports. I know I was inside there, and I can say no, I might be wrong, and I might be biased, because I know somebody who I'm seeing to the right of me has said Mr. Manning was the worst Prime Minister Trinidad and Tobago ever had. I won't look at him, but he said that. But I will say that unfortunately he did not have the opportunity to meet and work with him, because one of the things that he was, in my view, this is what I picked up. I think that he was now Prime Minister. I think he wanted to end. He wanted to come out. He wanted to go and preach or whatever he wanted to do, which that's a whole different issue. And I think he wanted to leave and deal with the drug trade. I'm telling you that. I'm not asking you that. I can't tell you the names that he called to me. I can't call the names to you. But if I tell you the names that he called to me, who are the big business in this country, you might be shocked. I'm not asking you if somebody told me that he told me. I'm telling you that he told me. I am telling you that when I was setting up the Financial Intelligence Unit, I knew who wanted the job. I know what jobs they want. I'm not going to say what jobs they want. And I know who wants those jobs, because those are the jobs that allow them to be able to get sensitive information. I'm just telling you that. And I told the Prime Minister, the person who I knew wanted the job, I said, he's not getting it, because I know he wants it, and he wants it for the wrong reason. We got the Americans to come in from Washington and met with me. And I said, get me ahead of the effort, because the leadership, when you want to end a movement, Dr. Tuari, you don't go after the crowd. You go after the head. You go after JFK. You go after whoever is leading Martin Luther King. And then the movement disappears. So you go to the head. And I am telling you, I said, I don't want a Trinidadian. I don't want a Caribbean person there, because I don't want them heading up that FIU. And they brought the Washington people to me, and we were looking at somebody from in Central America. You don't think he understood the Revenue Authority, what he was doing? We had people from the American DA assisting us, customs department setting up the revenue authority to set up and to develop one number, one PIN number, because we understood that what Mr. Manning understood, and I understood that he understood that with the gambling. He understood that why you letting the drugs in, because you're leaving your no gate, no a dog, no guard, no nothing. You're letting it in, and sometimes the same people, which we have a national budget, and the three top items in our national budget are national security, health, and education. You look at Barbados, national security must be number 10. We're spending so much money on national security, and many of the private firms get the work. Look, you saw that whole scandal with the police commissioner, with all those cars and all those contracts he broke, allegedly. That was in the papers. I didn't say that. And I am telling you in no uncertain terms that at the root of our problem, and we will, because why haven't we been able to solve it? Why have we not been able to solve it? Because at the root of our problem, there are people who have power in this country that said, I will approach 3 times. They realize, well, I don't take a bribe. I don't take a bribe. But they didn't come and ask, they didn't come with something big, you know. They came with something small to test me out, to see if I would think. But as soon as they tell me anything, I went to Mr. Manning. So they realized, don't tell her anything, because she ran in and tell Mr. Manning. So I am telling you, I have no doubt those OPVs, the Revenue Authority, the gambling legislation, the FIU, the sort where you had to get polygraph testing and you had to get tested for drug testing. I have no doubt until you dealt with the root cause, you will never solve the problem of crime in this country. And by the way, my last little point is this. You know, we love to talk about the cockroaches and zesters and using as, you know, code Laventilla mover, which everybody knows what they mean by Laventilla mover. But I always say to people, if in fact this is a problem of a race, why isn't Tobago overrun with crime? Why isn't Maruga overrun with crime? Why isn't Point 14 overrun with crime? Why isn't Toko overrun with crime? Because those are rural communities, and they would go to that urban community, which is already very, very easily taken advantage of, very vulnerable, and they recruit. And they sit down wherever they have to sit down, and they call the shots. And a lot of the legislation, those private-public partnership, which small businessman could ever apply to do a project unless the government says, listen, we're giving half of the project to the small businessman? Why doesn't the government insist on certain of their supporters? I'm talking about whether contractors or big businessmen. Why don't we look at their history to see if they have been successful in, or their cost of run? I am giving you the real story. You see all the story, how it sounds nice and all the things you're supposed to do, and how it sounds lovely and all the philosophical thing. It sounds really, really, really nice. I'm telling you from the inside, and none of them going to do it. If you have an AG that had to recuse himself 46 times, how you could have him as Attorney General? Because the recusal means conflict of interest. And he sat down there and 46 recusals, and he was still sitting down there. How you have a Minister of Agriculture who tells you he's missing his family for 19 months, he's still not left, he's still here, and you have a lesser position than the new minister can fire him tomorrow morning? How you could have a Prime Minister who moved the Minister of Tourism in, and you know they never tell me anything because it is a fact. They could only sue for defamation if it's not true. He moved him from housing, put him in tourism, then suddenly became the Minister of Housing for about 8 months. During that period, signed this what they call it's a framework agreement for the Chinese who had been blacklisted to build 5,000 houses with Chinese labor and pay them in US. And then pretend he didn't know about it until the Freedom of Information Act was forced, and then he claimed he didn't know. That is, there's no trust in this government. The AV drilling. How do you explain that your senior counsel, highly respected, is telling you go to court and challenge that thing. I had read judgments. Why won't you go? But you pay him 100 million. There's no trust in his government for good reason. And I am not playing the nice game about, no, it's all nice, it sounds nice, or that. That's the reality. And the reason why the country is hopeless, Dr. Tuari, as you know, because both parties are seen as being corrupt. And therefore, it's 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. And what allows them to sustain their nonsense is because they use the race and the religion as a separator of two groups. But I am telling you from the inside, that is what is destroying our country. I'm not asking you, listeners, I'm telling you he called names. And when I see some of those names in the top position in this country, I am sure about my views of this government.